Good. Losing my voice. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with another episode of the Snowflake Corner. This is episode 25. Date and time is the 10th of May 2024 at 6 p.m. UK time. Hello, everyone who's here. How are you all doing today? I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good week. Good week so far. Interesting week, that's for sure. In the world of news and politics, where we're going to be diving into politics and news outside. We're going to be looking at some stuff in Gaza, some stuff in things that have been happening, one or two things in Europe, one story in Asia, update a bit on one or two Trump stories as well here. And also, don't forget, we've got the funny memes at the end of the show as well. Well, if we have time, we'll look at the deep state map and what's going on in the war in Ukraine as well. Just ask, we got a live YouTube chat poll. We are dual streaming both here on YouTube and on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/ReganElite 1. Yeah, pretty sure it's links in it, ReganElite 1, which is as well. So dual streaming there. So the live YouTube chat poll I have for you guys today, and I literally just kind of wanted to get one out at least for you guys because I do like a bit of engagement on these things. Who is more evil, Putin or Netanyahu? That's Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, just for those for context, and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu there. So you have to pick between the two. Didn't give you a opt-out. So if you vote for one, that's it there. So the gang is here. The gang is here in full, and everyone's here in full, which is good. The lava lamp is not formed, and I've moved the wire in such a way that hopefully, cross fingers, we do not get any mic cutouts or anything like that, guys, today. Let's hope not anyway. So what have we got here in the chat? Joe Lefty, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. One Angry Pagan is here. Good to see you, One Angry Pagan. Hope you're doing well. Jao is here. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Putin, says One Angry Pagan. Okay, gone with Putin today. Okay, no problem. PM Pingu. Yeah, PM Pingu as well. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's dive straight into this. So, I hope I got enough water. It is very hot today. It's very hot today. Actually, the funny video I've got for you guys actually is related to the weather. But let's put them aside, yeah, because look at what we're here to talk about. So the first thing we want to talk about is what's happening within the Gaza situation. This one is from Al Jazeera, guys. The headline is Gaza ceasefire talks end with no deal as Israel ramps up its Rafah attacks. The UNRWA officials accuse Israel of subjecting Gaza to medieval siege as 110,000 Palestinians flee from Rafah and aid runs out. I just want to put this, we've got a couple of videos from these articles we're going to be looking at as well. So I just want to play this one first for you guys about the state of play, what's happening at the moment there, guys.
Let's look at how the situation in Rafah has changed. Covering around 65 square kilometers, Rafah was inhabited by about 275,000 people before Israel launched its war on Gaza. But repeated forced displacement swelled that to 1.5 million. That's the same population as Munich in Germany. That's near
the same population as Munich. Look at the size difference there, and they expect 1.5 million to be in that area, and it's cramped. It's absolutely cramped for them.
Nearly 5 times as large at 300 square kilometers. These images show tents and displacement camps now filling previously empty areas, as well as gardens and other spaces between homes. The Israeli army ordered Palestinians to leave the eastern part of Rafah and head to the El Mawasi area. An estimated 100,000 people are now sheltering there, but it's only 6.5 square kilometers and has little infrastructure. The Israeli military sealed off the only exit from Gaza when it took over the Rafah border crossing, trapping Palestinians inside.
It's crazy. Like, it's just crazy how they're shifting them around. And the thing is that it's not going... And the thing is, everyone is calling for them not to do this. And even America is. But America's not been strong enough on this. I mean, it's just insane. I don't understand how there's not enough vehement criticism from Western officials, and we're going to see a clip later on from Netanyahu. He honestly just doesn't care, guys. He just doesn't care at this point, and the Israeli government just doesn't care. And I just feel like, the world is kind of just standing by and allowing this to happen. It's really, really upsetting, to say the least. So the Israeli military has ramped up its attacks in Rafah, southern Gaza, and hit Gaza City while crippling humanitarian aid operations across the Palestinian territory as ceasefire talks ended without a deal. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, said on Friday that 110 Palestinians had fled Rafah. Israeli troops were advancing in the east of the city in close combat operations and conducting air raids. People are petrified. People have been fearing this for a long time, and there is now upon us. There is consistent bombardment. There is smoke on the horizon. There are people on the move. Sam Rose, director of planning for the UNRWA, told Al Jazeera from Rafah. He said Israel was subjecting Gaza to a medieval siege in the scorched earth war. Israeli forces earlier this week seized control of the Rafah border crossing, sealing the crucial entry point for humanitarian aid. And it's just insane. Good to see you, Mad Monk. Hope you're doing well, buddy. And the... So what are the people who are sick and wounded supposed to do? It's just insane. So Rafah boarding crossing from Gaza into Egypt serves as the only entry point for humanitarian workers to the besieged enclave, but it is also crucially to allowing critically ill and injured people to seek treatment abroad. Limiting its access or its closure threatens Gaza's only lifeline for Palestinians to the outside world, and they want to close that, Israel. The Rafah crossing boarding with Egypt, Israeli forces took control of the Palestinian side of the frontier on the 7th of May 2024. There's a picture there, and it's just, they're literally just trying to cut off. It's literally trying to cut off the oxygen of these people at this point, guys. Is what they're trying to do. No aid has come into Gaza now since Sunday. No aid, no fuel, no supplies, nothing, and we are down to our last reserves. Rose said they got nothing. That's insane. We have a few more days of flour that we can provide, but everything else will start to shut down very soon without fuel, without water. So the situation is really desperate, he added. Under heavy attack, patients and staff have been forced out of hospitals in Rafah, leaving the many sick and wounded Palestinians with no way of being treated. Al-Nafir Hospital is out of service, and the Kuwait Hospital in Rafah is just for trauma and emergency, said Palestinian Dr. Mohammed Zogwi. We have no beds, no hospitals to refer people to, especially for critical patients. Further north, witnesses reported airstrikes and fighting in neighbourhoods of Gaza City, targeting Zelaton, Sabah, Naska, Tel Al-Haroda and the Shadi refugee camp. At least 3 people were killed and 5 wounded. Israeli strikes hit a family home in central Gaza City, according to Rafah news agency. So this is another report from inside the Gaza Strip from Al Jazeera here.
Displaced for a third time, the Al-Kafarna family are fleeing Rafah as best they can, and with what little they have left.
They moved us from Gaza and told us to go to the south. After the south, they told us to go to Khan Yunis. After that, we came here to Seirat, and from Seirat to Deir al-Balah, and then they brought us to Rafah. They said it's a safe place. It wasn't safe. We keep moving from one place to another. This child was born during the war. What is his fault?
The family members say they've been told to go to Khan Yunis, but they have no food or water and are worried.
This situation as it is, we just want a solution. What do we want? We want a solution, and we want to go back to our cities, to Gaza.
The roads leading out of Rafah now look like this. Thousands of families are being forced to flee once again. But as the Israeli bombardment continues across the Gaza Strip, safety is hard to find anywhere.
We're tired. Our mental well-being is tired. It's been destroyed. There is no well-being. Even the young ones have been destroyed. My children were not like this before the war. No education, no food, no drink, nothing. No one sends us any money. We have no aid. Where are we to go?
Flee Rafah once again. Those in the north face famine. Many have fled to central Gaza, but only one water station is working there. The reality is there is no safe place for them to go. Hind al-Khudari, Central Gaza, Palestine, Al Jazeera.
And we've already talked about how back on the World's News Round earlier this week about how Al Jazeera got shut down in Israel. Its media center got shut down, and many of their journalists have been targeted inside by Israel. So that any journalist whatsoever in that Gaza Strip, just like that woman we saw, like, is a target for Israel. They will because they don't want this coming out. They don't want people knowing about this, which is why they hate Al Jazeera. They hate Al Jazeera so much because they're reporting the general facts of what's happening within the Gaza Strip. If Israel could shut everything off, like literally turn off the media, I think they would, but they seem to be struggling to do so. The Israeli and Hamas delegations left in the Egyptian capital Cairo after the latest round of ceasefire talks mediated by Qatar, the United States, and Egypt. Hamas said that on Friday that now the ball is now completely in Israelis' hands. Egypt's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that the two sides must show flexibility in order to strike a deal for a ceasefire in exchange of captives being held in Gaza for Palestinian prisoners. Hamas said the deal would involve a withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza and the return of Palestinians displaced by the war and captives for prisoners swap, with the aim of a permanent ceasefire. The group said it stood by the terms and that Israel had raised objections to it on several central issues. Hamas demanded an initial 12-week pause in fighting, with a major sticking point for Israel during this week's ceasefire negotiations, the broadcaster CNN reported, citing three sources familiar with the talks. Israel is determined to press ahead with its offensive in Rafah, where 1.4 million displaced Palestinians were sheltering, in defiance of warnings from the UN and its allies, including its key military and political backer, the US. While US President Joe Biden warned that he would stop some US weapons supplies to Israel if it carried out the ground assault, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu remains defiant. And we're going to read what he says in a moment. If we have to stand alone, we will stand alone. If we need to, we will fight with our fingernails. But we have more fingernails, he said in an interview on Thursday. US Secretary of State of General Antony Blinken is expected to submit a report to Congress later on Friday on Israel's conduct in Gaza, which stops short of concluding the country has violated terms of its use of US weapons, US media outlet Axios has reported. On Friday, the UN General Assembly is to vote on a resolution that would grant new rights and privileges to Palestinians and call on UN Security Council to favourably reconsider Palestinians' request for full membership.
אם נצטרך לעמוד לבד, נעמוד לבד. אמרתי כבר שאם צריך נילחם בציפורניים, אבל יש לנו הרבה יותר מאשר ציפורניים. ובאותן תעצומות נפש, בעזרת השם, יחד ננצח.
They just don't care. He does not care. They don't care. They are willing to go. They're willing to go above and beyond to ensure the destruction of these people, and it's really heartbreaking. That's how I generally feel. I feel like just kind of left abandoned, these people, and it's really, really hard. And the charities and organizations are trying everything they can to help people, and it's just near to next impossible. It's near to next impossible. While everyone is so scared to upset their friends Israel at any cost as well. It's just insane. It's just insane, guys. Stephen Banker, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Simon says 55, good to see both you guys as well. I'm just going to check there's nobody else I haven't missed. No, I haven't. Okay. Yeah, I'll continue to provide, obviously, what's going on there, guys, whether it's in Shorts or on the World's News Round, and even on Rumble as well, guys, what's happening on there. So we're going to go from, sadly, from one crisis to another crisis, guys. This one is from CNN. The headline, it says, people eating grass and peanut shells in Darfur, the UN says, as a hunger crisis engulfs the war-ravaged Sudan. And this is, I think, hopefully should be able to see this clip, most of this clip, yeah, from this, if I just find the right sweet spot there. So this is obviously CNN's reporting on the what's happening in Sudan. No one is concerned about a Sudan on the brink of collapse and starvation, and this is the grim reality of it, because we've never actually seen any video footage of Sudan, so this will be the first time we will see it, first time for some of you guys.
14,000 killed, more than 8 million people forcibly displaced from their homes. Accusations of rape, murder, and horrific abuses. Sudan is on the brink, begging the world to see what's happening and send real help.
All countries of the world are busy with the rest of the world, but we are third world countries. No one is concerned about us. That is why we all suffered.
Suffering so grave that half the population need humanitarian aid. A brutal war between the Sudanese armed forces and a rival paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, just entered its second year. Nothing was spared, and civilians trapped in the conflict zone are traumatized.
We were inside our house when we were looted, robbed, and beaten. All of this happened to us. They took our money and gold and even took my laptop.
The US is the largest donor of humanitarian aid to Sudan. And just days ago, Washington pledged another $100 million in emergency aid, bringing the total amount donated since the start of the conflict to $1 billion. But Secretary of State Antony Blinken has accused the warring parties of blocking vital aid to civilians and egregious abuses.
And both the SAF and RSF have carried out war crimes, including rapes, torture, extrajudicial killings, and other human rights abuses.
Commanders for the SAF and the RSF have previously denied such allegations. With the world seemingly powerless to stop it, Amnesty International warns that the war in Sudan is likely to continue and cause more civilian suffering. If these strong statements and condemnation from the US and the UN and the African Union have not worked in Sudan, so what's the fastest way to resolve the conflict?
Exert pressure on the warring parties to end violations against civilians, to end indiscriminate attacks against civilians, to allow humanitarian access, and to ensure they are held accountable for the violations they are committing in Sudan.
Larry Madowo, CNN, Nairobi.
It's been a while since I've seen video footage from inside Sudan, and yeah, that was pretty brutal. You know, we were going from one crisis like that to another. It's really, really hard, guys. It really, really is. And yeah, half the population, they said they need help and aid, and they're not getting it right now. So time is running out to prevent the starvation in Darfur in Western Sudan. A US agency has warned that escalating violence devastates the African nation. People have been forced to consume grass and peanut shells, the regional director of Eastern Africa of World Food Programme said on Friday. If assistance doesn't reach them soon, we risk witnessing widespread starvation or death in Darfur across other conflicts affected areas in Sudan, Michael Darfur added. Sudan has been gripped by civil war since April 2023, when fighting erupted between the Sudanese armies and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. It quickly descended into a brutal conflict characterized by reports of sexual and genocidal violence and civilian casualties triggered by exodus of refugees. On Thursday, 2 international committees of the Red Cross, the ICRC drivers, were killed by gunmen in South Darfur in an attack that left 3 other staff members injured, according to a humanitarian organization. The ICRC was attacked en route to access the crisis among communities affected by armed violence in the region, the organization had said. This here is the border between, this picture here, this is the border between Chad and Sudan, shown on the 25th of April. More than 8.57 million people had been displaced in the war between the Sudanese armies and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, according to the UN here. And newly arrived refugees from Sudan cooking outside of a fire in a makeshift shelter. This was on the 24th of April, this picture. Literally outside in tents. The latest surge in violence comes as the RSF encircles North Darfur's capital El Fasher. In the city and its surrounding locations, there have been increasing arbitrary killings, systematic burnings of entire villages, and escalating air bombardments, the UN Deputy Humanitarian Coordinator for Sudan, Toby Hayward, said on Thursday. Hayward added that El Fasher is the only city in Darfur that has not been captured by the RSF and hosts thousands of people who have been displaced by the war. At least 500,000 of those sheltering the city have been displaced from violence elsewhere in Sudan, according to the UN's children agency, the UNICEF. UNICEF. More than 36,000 people have been forced to flee their homes in Al-Fashir in recent weeks. The UN Office for Coordination in Humanitarian Affairs, the OCHA, had reported. At least 43 people have been killed in and around the city since the escalation of fighting in a little over 2 weeks ago, UNICEF Executive Director Kathleen Russell had said on Thursday. Recent attacks in more than a dozen villages in western Al-Fashir resulted in horrific reports of violence, including sexual violence, injured children and killed. Homes set on fire and destruction of critical civilian supplies and infrastructure, Russell's detailed. Meanwhile, deliveries of food assistance to Darfur has been intermitted due to fighting and endless bureaucratic hurdles, and at least 1.7 million people within the region are expected emergency levels of hunger, according to the World Food Programme. The latest escalation of violence around Al-Fashir has halted aid convoys coming from the Chad-Tyne border crossing. A recently opened humanitarian corridor that passed through the North Darfur capital, the WFP added. Restrictions imposed by authorities in the coastal town of Port Sudan have hindered aid deliveries, the WFP has said, preventing the transportation of relief via Adu, a town in the neighbouring Chad. More than 8.7 million people, including 4.6 million children, have been displaced by this war in Sudan, and 24.8 million need assistance, according to the OCHA. 24.8 need assistance, 4.6 million children. 8.7 million people in total. But because they're a third world country, because they're not Gaza, because they're not in Europe, you don't hear anything about it. You don't hear little to know about it, guys. It's and this is why I keep talking about Sudan, because it is a major crisis, and it's a crisis that's the world doesn't talk enough about in any way, shape or form, because of where it's placed in the world. Yes, of course, there are other crises and places taking place around the world. I'm not taking away from them, but this one is a lot more. It's just as brutal as what's happening within Gaza. It's just as terrible and tragic what's happening in the war in Ukraine, and of course what's happening in Myanmar as well as other conflicts that are taking place within the continent of Africa. And try to call these out as much as I possibly can for you guys. I just couldn't watch that video. No, it's fine, Stephen. I understand. It was brutal. But I felt it was important for us to see what's actually happening within Sudan, because we've not seen actually what actually takes place in there. And it's not something I share often. But I felt that, it's time. It was I wanted you guys to see just what things are doing, or how things are in Sudan. And I'm not intending to continue to. I'm not going to be, and trust me when I tell you, I'm not going to be doing that always, guys. I promise. I'm not going to always be doing it. But I just felt that given the gravity of the situation, to see how bad things are, I thought it was important. But I can also understand you turning it off as well. So. Sophus, I just couldn't watch what was in that video. Jow is back. No worries, but he should be. What are you guys saying? Malhane over the poor souls lost in the Greenland of Helmet in peace where war is done, says one angry pagan. 4 weeks ago. Yeah, it's very hot here, by the way, just in case anyone's wondering. I'm absolutely baking here. Yeah, everyone's talking about the weather because it is very, very hot right now. Yeah, it is very, very hot. It's very hot in here as well. That's why I've only just shut the windows just recently. But yeah, the gang is here. Just checking my mic. Gang is here. The orb and it's not formed yet, guys. Did it just change colour when I turned away? I bet it did. I'm still touching the wire, unfortunately. Why does it? Alright, I'm going to say something, guys. So I was I was knocking the wire here and there and doing this with the chair and all that kind of stuff. It never turned off when I wasn't live. But because I'm live now, it turns itself off. It's got a mind of its own. I swear, this mic has a mind of its own. I'll turn away and it'll probably turn itself off. No, not going to turn itself off. Should drive me bonkers. Anyway, so next one we got is in the America, guys. But I just want to ask, just for those who covered, asking who is more evil, Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, or the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Cast your votes in the live YouTube chat poll. Sorry I don't have one for those in Twitch, but if anyone does happen to be watching, feel free to come and say hello in the chat. We don't bite, I promise. We don't bite. Personally, I've seen too much for these things need to be seen, System Banker. That's fine. It's all good, buddy. All good, buddy. Totally understandable. Totally understandable. Also, guys, just one more thing before we go into the next article, guys. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. Helps me, helps Pingu, Ollie, and Cash Dummy there behind me. Really does help support the channel. Just those simple things, guys. If you can't in a non-financial way, that's the best way. If you guys want to support me, if you can't afford any kind of memberships or whatnots, that's the best way to do it. So anyone who does that, thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. Good evening, Solari the Cat. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. So the next one I've got for you guys is 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. It's from NBC News. This one is obviously different. We talked about one other trial, but this is a different one. So Stormy Daniels' payment puts the focus on Trump and the check writing as the trial testimony resumes. Excuse me. Obviously, there'll be more taking place today. But this one was from one of the about a couple of hours ago. I got this one. So Madison is continuing her testimony about what she saw working at the Trump White House from 2017 to 2019. And there's a sketch picture of her. The former White House Secretary Madeleine Wasserman weeps in the stands in the Manhattan Criminal Court in New York City on Thursday. So understandably, it was a bit emotional for her. Let's read what happened here. So the former President Donald Trump's criminal trial resumed Friday in New York City with testimony from his former White House executive assistant, a fair, friendly witness in Thursday's star attraction, the adult film star Stormy Daniels. Madison Weatherfield began her testimony in Manhattan Criminal Court Thursday afternoon, after Daniels spent the morning sparring with Trump attorney Susan Niche during cross-examination about her claim that she had a sexual encounter with Trump in 2006. Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid Daniels $130,000 to keep quiet about the allegations during the 2016 presidential election. Trump later reimbursed Cohen in payments prosecutors charged were covered up with falsifying business records. Trump has pleaded not guilty and denies Daniels' claim. Daniels got emotional at one point as Nice asked her about various mean posts about her on social media accounts, including one from a person who referred to her as an Agin Harriet. Nessie began her cross-examination of Westcott on Thursday as well, but with a far gentler touch. Westcott had testified about how thrilled she was to be working for Trump and broke down in tears when prosecutors asked her about her department from the White House in August 2019. She said that working for Trump was amazing and that he was a very good boss who had close and loving relationship with his wife, Melania Trump. Yeah, so I find that very hard to believe. The betrayal is at odds with testimony from Daniels, who said Trump had told her not to worry about his wife while he was making passes at her in his hotel room after they met at a celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe, Nevada in 2006. Westerholt testified while being questioned by the Manhattan District Attorney Office on Thursday that Trump was attendee when she delivered him personal checks to sign, and on that occasion he would call his company's chief financial officer, Alan Weiselberg, if he had questions about any of them. Information prosecutors are likely to use to argue Trump that was well aware of what he was paying Cohen for. Yeah, they're trying to weed their way out of any kind of thing saying they did anything wrong, and they'll look for any holes whatsoever in the witnesses. On Friday, Nisha's got Westerholt to say that Trump wasn't always paying attention when he got signing checks, as he would sometimes be on the phone or meeting what he did. So you would just sign something without even knowing what it is. Like, you're not even asking what it is. Like, I know people are busy, but you're like, can you, like, someone comes to you saying, can you sign this, please? Like, you're not going to take a split second to just ask, what's this for? Like, what am I signing again? Like, not at all. Not going to take, no? Okay. No, I'm not a businessman, so I wouldn't know. Trump is into stormy weather again, and this time it's not that rain. Yeah, it's not that rain, I'm saying nothing about open flats with Stormy Daniels being discussed here at Mad Monk. He was a person who multitasked, right? Initially added. Yes, Weatherhold had replied. Westerhold also pressed her on details about Trump's reaction when the payments to Daniels became public in 2018. He was very upset by it, Westerhold said. My understanding is that he knew it would be hurtful to his family. The whole situation was very unpleasant. Westerhold said one of her duties was to act as intermediary between Trump and the Trump Organization on issues that needed his or the company's attention, like his travel schedule or mail or phone calls. She asked Trump's assistant or the company, Rwanda Graf, in 2017 for a list of Trump contacts, in which Graf sent to her, according to an email shown in the jury. The list included the information of Cohen and David Pecker, the former National Inquisitors publisher, who testified he worked for Trump and Cohen to suppress scandalous stories about Trump during the 2016 campaign. Westerhold, who was followed to the stand by Daniel Dixon, an analysis for AT&T, who was brought up to authenticate call detail records related to Cohen's cell phone. Cohen's will testify on Monday, NBC News has learnt through multiple sources. His testimony is expected to last several days. Dixon was followed by Janine Thompson, an analysis for Rokon, who authenticated phone records from Keith Davidson, Daniels' former lawyer and former Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisenberg. Trump's attorney Todd Blanchard moved for a mistrial at the end of the court Thursday, arguing Daniels' testimony, including her claim that Trump didn't use a condom when they had sex, was unfair and prejudged. He called the condom allegation a dog whistle for rape. State judge during Michigan agreed that Daniels shouldn't have been asked about the condom, but noted there was no objection to that line of questioning, which he said but it befuddled him. I just don't understand, he said. Well, you didn't object to it. If you had a problem with the question with any kind of line of questioning that's put up, you have to object to it. It's not just down to the judge. You know, you want to... Well, stupid. He denied Blanche's mistrial demand, as well as a request that he loosen the gag order barring Trump from attacking witnesses to allow him to respond to Daniels' testimony. Daniels appeared to respond to requests Thursday night on X. Real men respond to testimony being sworn in and taking the stand in court. Oh, wait, never mind, she wrote. Nice one. The post could wind up being problematic for Daniels after Blanchard complained earlier in the trial that Daniels and Cohen had been attacking Trump publicly. Merchant suggested that it could be excluded from the gag order if they continued to do so, saying the order shouldn't be used as a sword instead of a shield. Besides Westerholt, an employee of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is also expected to take to stand Friday to testify about some sort of Trump's social media postings. Prosecutors have said they're hopeful they'll be able to wrap up the case by May 21st. It is unclear whether Trump will testify in his own defense. He's under no obligation to do so. Oh, God, I would love to see him on the stand, but it's entirely at his discretion, really, guys. I don't think he will. If I'm honest, guys. I don't think he will. I would like to say yes, that he would, but I think that might be pushing it a bit too much to ask him to do that. But we'll have to wait and see, obviously, on whether we think he will take the stand or not. But what you guys is someone left the cat flap open or something. Mad Monk just said, I missed it. Tree stumps are well good for mushrooms, says Stephen Baker. Cricket back, Stein said. Rotten wood is good for mushrooms. What on earth is going on there? Trump had problems finding a condom that small, said Larry the cat. Take your one conclusion. I'm an honest mod, says Zhao. Some women need to be drunk to sleep with some men, but in Trump's case, they need to be in a coma. Oh no, that's too much. That's too much, Joe. That's too much. Smooth talking, you Simon. What did Simon say? Sorry to hear that's good for you. Age is difficult though. You had a nice picture. What on earth are you guys doing chatting up in my live chat? I'm joking, by the way. I'm joking. So Larry the Cat says I'm saying nothing about open flats with Stormy Daniels being discussed here. Any news on the Mahara Fafa, aka the Orange Turd, says Larry the Cat. Oh, no need to apologise. It's all good. It's funny. It's funny. It's all good. It's all good, Joe. No good. It's all good, buddy. Right, let's guys. Let's just take a little break from all this. I need to drink some water and whatnot because it's sweating in this. I'm in a sauna right now and it's only getting hotter. And just as much, at some point, it's going to get very hot in a certain place as well. In Ireland, this funny video is from Foil and Arms with the title of "Irish People on the First Day of Summer."
Commander.
What is it?
This just in from the weather office.
My God, it's not.
Yes, sir. Sunshine, clear skies. It's the first hot day of the year.
This is it, gentlemen. This is what we train for.
Move it, move it, move it! Should we double the patrol numbers?
Quadruple them.
Quadruple them?
Half of those patrollers are going to call in sick, along with every other worker in this country. There's going to be a run in the banks.
The cash machines.
River banks, canal banks, anywhere there's an open body of water, people can sit with a can in their hand.
The city's going to be overwhelmed with people out drinking on the streets.
Public urination is going to be at an all-time high.
Issue a yellow warning.
Yes, sir.
And tell all units to tread carefully.
I want a man on every rooftop.
Yes.
Bar.
Should we concentrate all our efforts there?
No, the garden centres. They're going to be swamped. Angry mobs waiting in line holding shovels and pitchforks.
The lawnmower repair centres. They'll be overrun with people desperate.
They've been waiting in the long grass for a dry day.
We should let the hospitals know the emergency departments are going to be overrun.
Middle-aged men meeting up to play football for the first time in nearly a year.
We should also prep the burn wards.
Sunburn?
No. Irish people trying to use a barbecue.
The sick calls have already started coming in, sir.
Call on the reserves.
The army?
No. The dairy reserves.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Whippy's going to need all the help he can get. I want checkpoints posted at all the local parks.
What are we looking for, sir?
Pricks with guitars.
What about the roads?
Be extra vigilant for joyriders.
Car theft?
No. People aimlessly driving their convertible around with the top down to justify their purchase. Get me the Department of Justice. I need to speak with the Minister.
She's out sick, sir.
Damn it!
Sir, there's rumours of Irish people looking sexy on a beach.
We need to stop the spread of disinformation.
What else can we do, Commander?
All we can do now is pray for rain.
Do you think we could maybe tip off early today?
Well, I don't see why not.
Doomda. Oh God, that was really good. I really enjoyed that one, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a nice little breakup. That was really good. Oh, I want to play it again, guys. I might play it again later on. Maybe I'll play it again at the end. I don't know. But that was a funny one. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Make sure you subscribe to Foil and Arms YouTube channel. The link for the video is in the description. Make sure you hit the like button and all that stuff, guys. Really does make a big difference to all YouTube channels, big and small. Really does help, guys. Just before I go to the next one, guys, if you haven't already, please consider becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Being a YouTube member financially supports me in the work that I do here. It makes a massive difference, guys, to all the work here. And just 99p, even though it may seem like a little bit of money, it really does go a long way. Being a YouTube member gets you access to custom perks, custom emojis that you guys can use whenever I'm live streaming or premiere videos there. Also, the other things as well is that you also get access to community posts whenever I do any special community members posts, so you guys can see maybe the odd things here and there as well. And also, if you're a $2.99 member for them, you also get early access to my content as well. So some of you guys may have seen some of the new content that's already come up for certain members. After this live stream, a bit later on, I'll be having some more members videos available for you guys over the weekend as well. So there'll be a bit more for the members to see before it becomes live to the public as well. So yeah, other ways you can financially support me if you want, you can do super chat. Super chat's always greatly appreciated. Even just this, every small penny really counts. They make a big difference. And other ways you can financially support me is also by buying me a coffee. Link is in the description for that as well as joining me on Patreon. You can also join me on Patreon. You can get access to exclusive content on there behind the paywall. And even if you're not a paid member, you can follow me on Patreon. You also get access to other exclusive content that's only available on there. I do additional videos on Patreon as well as Rumble. And this week I started on Facebook as well. So if you have Facebook, feel free to follow me there as well. Just type in my name, REGANELITE, and the Facebook page will come up on there. Or you could just use the link down below to check them out on all my social medias. So thank you to everyone who has supported me, whatever it is, whether it's financially, non-financially, it's all greatly appreciated. Alistair Keir, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Another moderator keeping things in order here today. So, the next one I've got here for you guys. This one is from Euronews. So I probably need you guys a bit of help in this over this one, because I've read a bit of it, but not all of it. But this is kind of obviously for those in Europe. Obviously things coming up towards the next month. We're coming closer and closer to those very crucial EU elections. So this one's from Euronews. Says Europe's fractured right wing can disrupt EU agenda if it finds greater unity. Experts have said. So even though a lot of right-wing parties of different countries, obviously within the European Union, are obviously looking to destabilize and break up and break parts and change things for the benefit of their own well-being. Not all these right-wing parties are always on the same page. Some of them are more closer than others, but some are just completely disagreement with them. And with that, obviously, it gives an opportunity to try and keep some of these parties away from power. Now, it is expected that many right-wing parties are going to gain some power within these parliament, but how much they will obviously be up for debate. So let's read into it, you guys. They're set to make historic gains in June's European election, but Europe's rising right-wing party needs to find unity if they are to wield greater influence on the EU stage, experts have told Euronews. Across the blog, hard-right parties are roping in voters with promises to slash migration figures, slam the brakes on climate action, and strip back EU powers, all in defence of so-called national sovereignty. And this is the crux of the thing that this is the same thing that cost us Brexit. This whole national sovereignty. This is exactly the kind of rhetoric that they're trying to use with these countries to say, like, the EU is not benefiting. Well, saying they're not directly. Parts are directly attacking the EU and saying, we need to think more about ourselves rather than helping out other countries. We need to be looking after our own instead of other people. This whole, I'm on my own, you stay over there sort of thing. This regurgitating this kind of stuff to keep people divided rather than united. The right-wing surge predicted by the polls has raised concerns that bolstered Eurosceptic camps could strain the coalition of progressive pro-EU parties that have reigned over Brussels for decades. But these right-wing parties remain deeply disunited on a raft of critical issues, in particular foreign policy, the EU support for Ukraine and the rule of law. These divisions mean that forming a united right-wing bloc in the European Parliament is currently inconceivable. I don't know about that. It's entirely possible that could change. I'm not 100% convinced on that, if I'm honest. But experts said that Europe's hard right could build greater discipline and put its house in order following June's election to progress its agenda on the EU stage. There's an assumption that just because they differ so much and there are such a mix of group of politicians and parties that they will never offer a consistent platform, and therefore they are not such a big danger, Paweł Zelensky, a senior policy fellow at the European Centre for Foreign Relations, had said. This is far from given, Zenko warned. It's possible that they also become more disciplined and more cooperative because they realise that it is in their interest to have a more consistent and united voice in the European Parliament. We shouldn't premature assume that they will be disagreeing. Chaotic bunch, he added. No, but to say that there wouldn't be a united right-wing blog, there may be a form of united right-wing blog, but they will just be, in my opinion, very disagreements on a lot of things. I do generally think that will be the case. So big changes are looming in the European Parliament. Right-wing parties are split into two political families. The radical far-right Identity and Democracy ID group, which is set to clinch some 82 seats, plus 23 in June, with hosting the likes of Marine Le Pen's Renaissance National, Geert Wilders' Dutch Party for Freedom, Malito Salavi's Liga and Alternative for Germany. It will complete the centralist Renewed Europe, becoming the Parliament's third biggest force. The traditional softy Eurosceptics, European Conservatives and Reformists, the ECR group, meanwhile includes Sofia Menli Francia dall'Italia, Poland's Law and Justice, the PIS, Spain's Vox and the Swedish Democrats. Polls predict ECR will gain more seats to reach a total of 75 lawmakers in the next European Parliament. ID is generally seen as more radical, more anti-European and more hardline in its views on key issues such as migration. But the ideological lines that split these two groups are sometimes incoherent. For example, Spain's Vox belongs to the ECR, while Portugal's Chesca belongs to ID, despite their close political affiliates, and Chesca being often branded the Portuguese Vox. In France, Zeng Eric Zemmour's Reconnaissance is also part of the ECR. Despite many seeing the party as more radical than the national competitor, Marine Le Pen's reassembled national, which is part of ID. ECR's harboured another hardline groups such as the Swedish Democrats and the Finns Party, which many feel would be more particularly suitable at home within ID. With elections set to trigger a realignment of the party, analysts says parties are actively looking to reconfigure their membership in order to bolster their influence. I would not be surprised if big chances take place ahead of these elections. Francesco Nocli, visiting fellow at Bury, told Euronews. Fritzkes, the ultra-nationalist right-wing party of Hungary's Premier Viktor Orbán, which currently has no groups after it was expelled from the centre-right European People's Party, EPP, in 2022, could be looking to join the ECR, while Georgia's Melanie Fratsky's d'Italia seems as a possible contender to join or form bridges with the mainstream centre-right party, EPP. Nicolina also explained that the election of the European Commission President, a process which, in principle, could be driven by the results of the elections, could also trigger big changes in the way the right operates in Parliament. Outgoing President Ursula von der Leyen's tip to secure a second term has left the door adjourned to working with the ECR post-election, with EPP sources citing Melanie Frantis d'Italia and Czech Premier Peter Fallis ODS, both members of ECR, as parties that share EPP's core values. Oh, Alistair Keir, thank you so much for that 5 gifted membership. That's really appreciate it. He's given 5 gifted memberships, one to Stephen Banker, Goddess of Abductions, my apologies, Tom Finley, Sapphire Jeffrey, and Powerwolf1097. Oh, thank you so much for that 5 gifted membership. That's very kind of you, mate. I really appreciate it. You really do help out the channel a lot with your kindness, Kia. Really, thank you. Because of von der Leyen's personal relationship with Menley, and because she needs votes, it's possible that she will poke holes into Corbyn's satires, Nicolai explained, referring to the firewall that has traditionally prevented mainstream parties from collaborating with the hard right. This is fascinating stuff here. There's so many possibilities, so many angles that this can all go, guys. So both parties from both the ECR and ID groups have in recent years shifted their degrees of scepticism towards European institutions in Brussels. It means parties sitting within the same groups have slightly different perceptions on how to defend their national interests, vice the EU capital. The ID groups harbours previously staunch anti-Europeans such as the Netherlands' Gees Wilders and Francis Le Pen, both of whom in the past have promised voters a referendum on EU membership. Oh, that'll be interesting. Well, Le Pen has significantly softened her anti-European rhetoric over the past 8 years, abandoning her plans to leave the blog and advocating for the defence of French sovereignty by curbing European integration and reforming the blog, a stance more compatible with that of ECR. Wilders has similarly abandoned its call for the Netherlands' EU exit. Marine Le Pen's RN party has evolved and is no longer necessarily against the European Union as a principle. Same applies to the Alternative for Germany, the AfD, and Brutal Nicolai has explained. I think another important thing as well, while they're not in the conversation of this all, is they've also seen what's been happening in the UK since we left the EU, and they're kind of looking at that and they're like, yeah, we don't want any of that as well. Meanwhile, the ECR has harboured a range of nations' third parties whose stance on EU integrations seem to be drifting further apart. Italian's Premier Medley and Czech's Premier Fala, both of which parties belong to the ECR, are seen as constructive partners in Brussels cities. The fellow ECR members, Swedish Democrats, vowed as recently as last February to purge Swedish constitutions of references to the European Union. Prominent figures within the Finns party, also ECR, have expressed a long-term goal of leaving the EU. Poland's Law and Justice has also veered from Eurosceptics to anti-European during its 8-year stint in power, which ended last year. Similarly, on Ukraine, Europe's hard-right parties are deeply divided. Bulgaria's blatantly pro-Russian Voskits rival party joined the ID group this February, days after it sent a delegation to Moscow to meet representatives of Vladimir Putin's United Russia party. And despite other parties within the group trying to purge themselves of historic ties to the Kremlin. Marine Le Pen, whose party has traditionally been marred by allegations of proximity to the Kremlin, has aimed to scupper the reassemblement national of its pro-Russian image. Well, but the thing is that I don't trust Marine Le Pen to hold that, and she could easily change that position when she's in power. So I'm very skeptical of that. Her party, whose European campaign is spearheaded by Le Pen's protege Jordan Balaga, backs supporting Ukraine's effort to withhold Russian assaults in principle, but nonetheless opposes Ukraine's EU ascension and calls for curbing French military aid to Kiev. Meanwhile, Orbán's efforts to frustrate EU's decision on aid to Ukraine means his friskiest party possible entry into ECR will probably be a no-go for staunchly pro-Ukraine Law and Justice (PIS) and the Finns party, which defeated from ID to ECR last year in a bid to cut ties with its Putin-friendly parties. Yeah, interesting stuff there, guys. So there is divisions on a lot of things, with a lot of different parties there, like Le Pen, Orbán, and Czechs and Swedes, and all these different right-wing parties. Excuse me, but I generally think that while it is they all seem to, while some of them are mainly divided, I do think at some point they may form some kind of united front. I do think that can happen. I don't think it's entirely impossible. It's impossible for it not to happen, which is what they said in this piece here. I do think it can happen. I don't know when. It may not happen. It won't happen. It might not happen at this European. It might not happen at this one, but it might happen at the next EU election potentially. But this whole sovereignty thing is, people are buying into it. There's a lot of media. There's a lot of social media out there that's pumping a lot of the misinformation about what's happening as well, which is also a big problem as well when it comes to this. You know, the likes of YouTube, Facebook, and certain groups where there has and enticing these people into these groups and having to making these beliefs. This whole anti-sovereignty sort of thing is the thing that's really not helping the situation. It's rather than working with others, they want people to work on their own. Oh, we've got problems in our country that we can't deal with because, you know, it's the EU bureaucracy or something else here and something else there. Rather than taking ownership and responsibility for their actions, they just want to keep pointing the finger and blaming everything else. That's just what I think this is. You know, divide and conquer is what these lot are trying to do. Divide and conquer is how I see it. Just going to check the live YouTube chat poll, asking who is more evil. Since 12 people have cast their votes asking who is more evil, Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, or the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. 12 people have cast their votes so far. Netanyahu with 58% and Putin with 42% there. Thank you to everyone who's cast their votes so far. Le Pen, Jao says, Le Pen, I dislike her, is one of the only politicians that goes to the rural areas to speak and listen to farmers in Portugal. Chandler did the same here in Portugal, and now they have a 20% of the parliament. Yeah, because they went out of their way to talk to these communities and rural communities that mainstream parties don't go out of their way to speak to. You know, if you go out of your way to speak to these the fringes of people, you'll win their votes. But you've got to be prepared to go out there and talk to them. Just left the UK. Ironically, only anti-EU parties in Portugal, for example, are the extremists. Was left. Understandably, most people voted out of Parliament here, says Jao. One Angry Pagan says, it's weird as the farming community in Britain is seeing that the right doesn't care about them, but the farming community doesn't seem to see it, question mark. There's a question mark there. The right speech has now changed the EU from within because they have concluded the EU is needed evil, and Brexit showed them that. Yeah, they've seen it more as a necessity rather than anything. Jao also says, besides, people should understand countries like Portugal and Spain and Germany have a prohibition of existence of fascist parties in their constitutions. Exactly, Pagan. What did Pagan say earlier? How did the scrunchy countries do? I usually hear metal for them. There are unities of rights: Portugal, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, etc. So associations of these groups would be in groups, not blogs, says Jao. Stephen Baker says Israel's Euro entry was booed off right off the stage, didn't get a word out. Yes, I do know a lot of you guys don't do the Eurovisions, but I thought I'd share. I don't watch Eurovision myself, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. The left needs to actually reach out to farming communities in the EU as well as the UK. I need my personal mod for sure, says Simon says 55. I'm all right for mods at the moment, Simon, but thank you for offering your services. EU elections are elections. If the right wing wins more power, it's bad news to the third country, says Jao. Yeah, it will be much harder for immigrants coming in if that is the case. That is for sure. How are you guys coping over here? You guys all right? Yeah, they seem fine. Ollie's a bit more optimistic about things. He's a bit more optimistic. I'm not. Pingu just wants to talk about China. We're not talking about China today, but I told him we weren't talking about China, so Pingu's not in a very good mood. I don't know. He's been reading up some Chinese books lately. Some weirdo. Yeah, I did tell them. So what are you going to do about it? He doesn't like me. He didn't want me to tell you guys that. Anyway, moving away from that. I actually are going to talk about China. Just shot myself in the foot with this one. Hungary rolls out the red carpet, Shizi, in the final leg of the European tour. I deserve that. Warm welcome for Chinese president. Contrast with the rest of EU, with up to 18 cooperation agreements are expected. So on Tuesday, we had President Emmanuel Macron obviously welcomed the Chinese president there, and we know that he was doing, I believe he was doing the Czech Republic or Slovakia. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. He was doing one other country in between before coming here, but obviously he would get the lavish welcome, much more welcoming welcome in Hungary than he would in France. Even though I would say that relations are warm between France and China, it's nothing like tensionous right now between like the UK and China is. But obviously, because we know the kind of the party and its President Viktor Orbán, obviously he was going to get a very warm welcome. So Hungary has rolled out the red carpet for Xi Jinping for a show of warmth that contrasts with the awareness in the rest of the UK about China's stance on trade, global politics and human rights. And on the third and final stop of his first European tour in 5 years, Xi was given a ceremonial welcome by Hungary's president, Tamás Sulík, at the Buda Castle in Budapest before talks with Viktor Orbán. The Hungarian Prime Minister, the EU's longest-serving leader, has sought to deepen ties within Beijing and blocked EU motions criticising China's human rights abuses. After that meeting, the Chinese state media agency Xinhua reported that China and Hungary have decided to elevate their ties to all-weather comprehensive strategic partnerships in the new era. China has used a similar formula to describe its relations with Uzbekistan, Turkestan and Venezuela. Orbán said the two countries were going to expand their cooperation in the full spectrum of the nuclear industry in a major department from the European mainstream. The Hungarian Prime Minister said he supported China's peace plan for Ukraine. Western leaders have criticised the 12-point plan published in 2023 because it does not call on Russia to withdraw its forces or return territory. She arrived in Hungary late on Wednesday after stops in Serbia and France. That's it, Serbia, my apologies. And was met at an airport by Orbán. Welcome to Hungary, President Xi. Orbán posted on X with a picture of the two men shaking hands and smiling warmly. Yeah. Orbán's political director, Baskus Orbán, no relation there to put in there, even though he's got the same name, told local media that Xi's visit was confirmation of effectiveness of Hungary's connectivity strategy. In an article for Euronews, he wrote that Europe must also recognise the evolving geopolitical environment requires a strategy of prudent connectivity, and he hoped cooler heads will soon have a chance to prevail. Hungarian police surround a Tibetan protester at China held Budapest there as well, obviously because of what's happening in Tibet. Not being silenced quite quickly there. The EU in 2019 declared China a systematic rival, and the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said last year that Europe needs to de-risk its relations with Beijing, meaning in part cutting dependency on China's supply chains. Hungary, which is making 75 years of diplomatic relations with Beijing, has distanced itself from the EU strategy. The Central European country has received billions in Chinese investment and hosts Huawei's largest base outside China. The Chinese car maker BYD will soon open a factory for electric vehicles in Salzgitter, southern Hungary. Its first production line for battery-powered cars in Europe, creating a significant challenge for European companies in the heart of the EU. In comments carried out on China's state news agency Xinhua, President Xi said the Chinese-Hungary relationships are now at its best in history. Gee, I wonder why, guys. The two sides should adhere to a win-win cooperation, expand cooperation in various fields within the framework of the Belt and the Road Cooperation, and synthesize their respective development strategies, Xi had said. Hungary's Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó has said 16 April cooperation agreements would be signed during Xi's visit, one of which would be a large-scale infrastructure scheme within China's vast Belt and Road project. Meanwhile, Hungarian lawmakers with the opposition Momentum Party told the Association Press that he and his colleagues have been approached by a group of men on Wednesday that has attempted to place EU flags on a Budapest bridge. Martin Tomos said all men wearing red baseball caps confirmed him to make sure no flags or symbols referring to Tibet or Taiwan claimed by China would be hung on the route of Xi's motorcade. The visit to Hungary followed a similarly welcome in Serbia, where President Alexander Vučić told Xi that Taiwan is China. And Serbia has long backed China's claim to self-governance island and has Beijing's support for its claim in Kosovo. In France, von der Leyen warned Xi that Europe would not hesitate to produce its industries from China China state subsidies, cars, steel, solar and wind technology. The European Commission has been promoting an alternative to the Belt and Road, the global gateway to find infrastructure projects worldwide. It just states there that the article was amended to correct the spelling of Orbán's name, apparently. I mean, like, it's cool that he visited and visit these countries and whatnot, sort of thing. But I kind of wish, like, let's remember, like, you know, he's not serving the interest of he's not looking to help in any way us or other nations. To be fair, guys, it's just, you know, I just think it's dangerous. Obviously, the direction that Hungary has been going for a long time. But I still think there are many people within Hungary's population that just don't like its leader, and things can turn worse there. To be fair, and obviously we saw they tried to put up Taiwanese and Tibet flags and all that kind of stuff, and got taken down quite quickly in Hungary to deny them. But yeah, not you know, all the hearts and welcoming stuff really there. What are you guys saying in the chat? China. What's that, Joe? Bears. Bunch of bear emojis from Alistair Keir. Simon says 55 says, I do not want to be a mod. I need one for me personally because I'm such a radical. Okay. Orbán was collecting his bribes. He's almost out of power, so he needs to fill his piggy bank. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, so give up some land and whatnot for concessions, obviously. What's that saying? Was a great leader not asking for honey from Hungary. The red carpet is ready for you, Sir Larry, said Mad Monk. Must admit, I don't know much about Hungary. If badgers are technically a type of weasel, it means that Stokes and ferrets are stinky badgers and otters are swim badgers. Love the random facts, love them, says one over pagan. Wiener's genocide, REGANELITE still all ongoing. Yes, of course. Artibus, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, the Wiener's genocide, of course. Yeah, that's it's still happening. So the next one I got for you guys is from CNA. It's a short one, but I just wanted to highlighting the issues of climate change here. So Heatstroke has killed 61 people in Thailand so far this year. So we're not even at the halfway point of the year, and 61 people have died due to heatstroke in Thailand just alone, guys. So Heatstroke has killed 61 people in Thailand so far this year, more than all of 2023. The Health Ministry said on Friday, May the 10th, after weeks of scorching weather across the region. A wave of exponentially hot weather blasted in Thailand in recent weeks, prompting authorities to issue warning about scorching hot weather on a near-daily basis. The Health Ministry said that Friday that 61 people had died from heatstroke since the beginning of 2024, compared with 37 in the whole of 2023. So last year, only 37 people died, and already 61 people have died this year. And we're not even at the halfway point. Thailand's northeast, the agricultural heartland, saw the highest number of deaths, the ministry has said. Scientists have long warned human-induced climate change will produce more frequent, longer, and more intense heat waves. While the El Niño phenomenon is helping drive in this year's exceptionally warm weather, Asia is also warming faster than the global average, according to the United Nations World Meteorological Organization. Vajcharts Valtakan, the deputy of Thailand's Department of Disease Control, warned that people with underlying medical conditions should limit their time outdoors. Yeah, no kidding. The kingdom this year experienced a delay in monsoon seasons, with sweltering hot weathers lasting longer than normal. Storms have hit parts of the kingdom this week, lowering temperatures in bringing warmer from the authorities and potential flash floodings. In April, the kingdom recorded a temperature of 44.2 degrees Celsius in the northern province of Langpang, just shy of the all-time national record of 44.6 degrees Celsius last year. That's baking hot weather, guys. And yeah, people, those kind of temperatures, that's really, really bad for people. And understandably, you know, they need everything they can to keep themselves from getting burned. But 61 people already, guys, and this was just today, so that's the latest, obviously, that's happening there. It's really, really brutal. Not just there, obviously, temperatures are, you know, happening around the world. I get a lot of the last climate video. I always get a lot of anti-climate people coming in on my channel saying that it's not real, it's all fake, whatnot. You know, there's just continuous more mounting evidence of human inaction, and they're just going to keep saying, oh, it's perfect, it's Mother Nature at its work and all this nonsense, when we can clearly see that this is not normal. Records are consistently being broken around the world. I mean, it's just, that's the sheer reality of it, you guys. It's the reality of it. So this next one I've got for you guys, we're going to be going through, we've gone over the hour mark. I didn't think we'd get over the hour mark, but we have. We're just going to cover some stories that's happening with the war in the Ukraine. We'll have a quick look at the steep state map as well. And then we'll also finish off with funny memes, guys. But if you haven't already, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe if you haven't already. Just doing those things, guys, make a massive difference to the channel. Really does go a big, long way for myself, for Ollie, Pingu, and Cash Dummy. Why are you hiding? Make yourself more visible. Yeah. Stop hiding, you. He's hiding. The lava lamp has formed. Lava lamp has formed. If you can just barely see it, it's a bit bright, but yeah, the lava lamp has formed as well. That's a good sign. So this first one here from the Kiev Independent. Russia launches a new offensive in Kharkiv Oblast. So the President Volodymyr Zelensky announced on May the 10th that Russian forces have begun a new offensive operation targeting Kharkiv Oblast. Russia began a new wave of offensive in these directions. Ukraine met them out there with our troops, brigades and artillery, Zelensky said during the press briefing with the Slovak President Zanalia Kumpla in Kiev. Moscow recently intensified attacks against Kharkiv amid reports that Russia might plan to attack Kharkiv as part of a wider offensive in the coming months. The Defense Ministry earlier in the day reported that Russian military attempted a breakthrough of Ukraine's line defense in Kharkiv Oblast. Zelensky said Russian troops could mobilize assault units further in the region. The president added that the Ukrainian command had known about a potential offensive in this direction and had been preparing. Now there's a fierce battle going on in that direction, Zelensky had added. As of 1:30 p.m. local time, at least 2 people were killed, 5 were injured amid intense Russian attacks. Russian forces attempted to break through Ukrainians' defense lines at around 5 a.m. local time, according to the Defense Ministry. The Russian attacks have been held off, but the battles of intensity have continued, as the ministry statement had read. Kharkiv Oblast Governor Oleh Shoshky said earlier the attacks do not pose a threat to the regional center of Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. Russian forces failed to take Kharkiv in the first weeks of the full-scale invasion, despite the fact that the city lies less than 30 kilometers from the Russian border. Just going to, because I haven't updated this, so what's the other latest here? So this one here, Canada pledges $56 million to German-led air defense initiatives for Ukraine here, in a cooperation here. So Canada will contribute 76 million Canadian dollars to the Germany-led initiative for bolstering Ukraine's air defenses, the Canadian Defense Minister Bill Blair said today. Through Canada's investment in Germany's immediate action on air defence initiative, we are working together to provide Ukraine with crucial air defence systems that it needs to protect its people, Blair said, while hosting his German counterpart Boris Pistorius in Ottawa. Berlin launched the initiative in April amid Kiev's increasing dire need for air defences facing heavy Russian aerial attacks against populous centres and energy grids. During Pistorius' visit to Canada's capital, he and Blair discussed the cooperation between their countries within the NATO framework and the preparation for the upcoming Alliance Summit in Washington, D.C. The Canadian Defence Ministry said contributions to Germany's initiative are only one of the ways that the two countries aid Ukraine. Canadian Armed Forces CIF members are currently deployed to Germany as part of Security Assistance Group Ukraine, which helps to facilitate the transfer aid of Ukraine, working to align donations with Ukraine's needs, planning for the immediate and longer-term training needs of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, the ministry statement had read. Since February 2022, Canada has committed over $10 billion Canadian dollars of aid to Ukraine, including $3 billion in defensive assistance alone. That's a lot of money. That's how much they put in there. Let's see what else they've got here. Russian unsuccessfully tries to break through Donetsk, Luhansk Oblast here. So Russian forces are unsuccessfully trying to break through near the Sibersky forest in the Liman area in northeast Ukraine. Naska Voskin, a spokesperson for the Kharkiv group of forces, said on national television today. The Russian military consistently attempts to storm the village of Nevsky and the areas of the Sibersky forest in Luhansk Oblast and the shells of the city of Malavika in Donetsk Oblast, trying to gain better positions from further attacks, according to Voskin. They are trying to break through the city of Silverfisk in Donetsk Oblast in order to cut off the Siversky's ledge and enter the Ukraine rear in the Siversky village, Voskin had said. The enemy is trying to break through the line defense of the Ukrainian defenders in the Trenchy and Novesky settlement in order to go further into the Lechman area, but they are not succeeding, he added. Russian troops carried out 10 to 20 assaults per day, mainly using their infantry, sometimes with the assistance of heavy weaponry, according to Voskin. Spokesperson said that Ukrainian forces are trying to push the Russian troops back from the elevated area to prevent further drone attacks. The settlements of Nusky, Masaviska, Terenli, and Shriskis are located nearly 40 kilometers, that's 25 miles northwest of the city of Severodonetsk, which Russia captured in June 2022. Russian forces recently intensified offensive operations around these settlements to advance further in the directions of the Kamagusk Algamatium. Ukrainian troops retreated in late April from the west from the villages of Bursky, Samariska, and Noskos in Donetsk Oblast. Kharkiv G group of Ukraine's ground forces said that Russian forces also managed to break in and gain a foothold in part of villages of Oskotren in that region. Russia aims to completely occupy Donetsk, Luhansk, and if possible, Zakharivka Oblast in 2024, according to Olegor Puskas, Ukraine's ground force commander. Yeah, they said they wanted to capture those territories by the end of the year. That is their plan there. This is a story from Politico that they've picked up. US to announce a new £400 million military aid package for Ukraine. This story is still being updated, just for reference. So the US is preparing to announce a military aid package to Ukraine worth $400 million on today. Politico have reported, citing two unnamed American officials and obtained notifications sent to Congress. After 6 months of political infight and delays, the US has recently passed the long-awaited £61 billion aid package, with much of it covering military aid. The following day, the Pentagon announced that it was ready to move forward with sending £1 billion worth of weapons and Kievs from US stockpiles. The new package will include new Patriot missiles, Stinger anti-aircraft missiles, Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, mine-resistant ambush protecting vehicles, that's MRAPs, Javelin anti-air missiles, and other munitions, Politico wrote, citing its sources. Russia is likely trying to take as much territory as possible before the impact of the recently passed US aid bill for Ukraine can be felt on the battlefield. Russian forces began a new offensive operation on today, targeting Kharkiv Oblast, which Zelensky has said. After a new batch of US weapons started flying to Ukraine, the American Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said it is very early on to see the effects of this military aid on the front line. During the 6-month break in funding, Ukraine lost the key front city of Avdiivka in February amid a severe ammunition shortage. Russia has since then continued its advances toward Chasiv in Donetsk Oblast, an elevated town that opens its way to further advances in the region. Kiev will look to launch a counter-offensive in 2025 with the support of the approved £61 billion aid package from Washington, as well as additional Western aid funding, US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan had said. Last one here, I'll just say Ukraine's to receive its first F-16 fighters within weeks. So we know that they've been doing a lot of, there's been a lot of the Ukraine some Ukraine fighters have been training in other countries, preparing to use them. So Ukraine has received their first F-16 fighter jets within weeks. The British media outlet Evening Standard have reported on May the 10th, citing an undisclosed high-ranking military source. The Evening Standard source did not reveal which of the allies would be the first one to deliver the planes. The Netherlands, Denmark, Belgium and Norway have pledged to supply Ukraine with dozens of US-made fourth-generation jets. Denmark earlier confirmed it would send its first batch of fighter jets to Ukraine this summer, while the Netherlands plan to start delivering them in the autumn. Belgium has also announced that it may ship the first F-16 fighters to Ukraine later this year. Denmark, the Netherlands, the US have led an international coalition established last year to provide Kiev with F-16 fighter jets and Ukrainian pilots. So that's good. Their state, obviously a source is stating that it's only a few weeks off, but we'll obviously have to wait and see how they are, you guys. I will come to you guys in the chat after I'll cover this, cover the deep state map. The latest time on the deep state map here for you guys is today, the 10th of the 5th at 10:52. This is 10:52 in the morning, guys. So this is the latest update we have at the moment. So I'm just going to pull it back a couple of days to see if we can see some much movement. This has been a couple of days since we've had a look at the deep state map. Doesn't seem to be much movement on some of the down here in yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you. There doesn't seem to be much movement down here in the Holopol Oshkosh here. There are some engagements obviously taking place there, but doesn't seem to be too much movement there based on what we're seeing. What's going? Something's popping up on my phone. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more. Obviously, this is where they've been making quite a bit of ground. Obviously, we talked about Avika and when they've taken the city there. So let's just have a look here. So just at the moment, this is on the 4th of the 5th. So we're just going to go a couple of days forward. So they keep pushing, gain grounds here. Another push here. I'm just looking at Neskill there to see if there's going to be pushing out there. That's still holding there. They're looking at Koska. I'm looking at Koska Vika down there. They're trying to push in there as well. We obviously know that they pushed out this road the last time we looked at deep state map here. They pushed out a lot there as well. Little bit movement, not a lot. And again, doesn't seem to be too much. Not too much. I'm just going to pull it back a couple more days just to see how much movement has been there, just from a couple of days. So it's really the real big push was, yeah. So it looks like, yeah, on the 3rd and the 4th. Yeah, it looks like there was a big push between the 4th and the 5th. There was they looked like they made some gains there on the 4th and the 5th, and then 6th. Obviously, they pushed a little bit further there. So they've continued to push out in this area here. Obviously, the ultimate goal is obviously if I pull out a little bit further for you guys. So obviously, they want all of Donetsk back. They want to try and claim all of Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia as well. If you see on the map there, obviously the red dots there where Donetsk, where we're just looking, obviously they want to try and gain all that Donetsk at least there, and Zaporizhzhia there. So they want to try and push up to Zaporizhzhia as well. That's kind of the push that they would like to make by the end of the year, Russia. Has there been any push here in this area? Just gonna have a quick look. There has been some gains here in these areas from the looks of it. Just pulling back here. There's been a slight movement, but nothing too much here. Obviously some skirmishes engagements here, but I don't think there's been too much movement along here. If I'm going to go out a limb, just going to pull back a couple of days. Nothing really changed here. They're holding this part very well, to be fair. So yeah, obviously the main contentions of points is obviously Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and I've covered them on extensively. Obviously, as you guys know, on the short videos whenever I can. You know, when they have updates about when there's attacks and what's not. It's normally those areas is where the engagements are taking place. Obviously, they are doing like firing artillery shots and whatnot out on the Diamo River on the other side, on that part, on the other side of the Dynamo River as well. But it's the main engagements obviously is taking place down in Donetsk, and they're struggling right now to hold it. It is small gains, yes, they are tiny gains, but they're still gains nonetheless. And obviously, as time will pass on, it should. Hopefully, the offensives by Russia will slow down thanks to the aid package that the US has pumped in. And obviously, that rumour of another $50 billion package obviously would be hugely significant. That is for sure, guys. It will be absolutely massive if they did get that as well. I have a quick look at you guys in the chat. Are you guys happy? Yeah. Pingu said, "Why did I lie to?" Pingu said, "Why did I lie to the chat about China?" I did not lie about them. I didn't lie about them about China. I don't know what he's talking about. What are you guys saying in the chat? I'm just going to end the live YouTube chat poll as well. Just want to say thank you everyone who's cast their votes on there. We're almost done for today. Mad Monk says he has to go. No worries, Mad Monk. Thanks for popping by anyway. Greatly appreciate your support as always. So the live it finished on 14 votes. 57% of you say Netanyahu is more evil than Vladimir Putin at 42%. So thank you everyone who cast their votes. It's greatly appreciated. And just before you guys go, we've got one more thing. We've got the funny memes to do, and then we'll wrap things up. So I hope you guys enjoy these ones. I know there's one in here that Sir Larry will definitely like. So yeah, I've already got him pumped up now. But I hope you guys enjoy these for the funny memes. I've got to put on just it's a bit of laughter, guys, because we need a bit of fun, when we're talking about these kind of stories, as I'm sure you're aware. So I hope you guys enjoyed these funny memes. We've got 6 for you here. So here we go. Me opening the front door to grab a package the Amazon driver dropped off. How I sleep knowing I've been pretty all day. When you broke so much so you have to go to sleep for dinner. When you have no milk for your cookie. Of course I'm in shape. Round is a shape. Oh my god, this cat. Round is a shape. Yes, round is a shape, but you need to get in shape, I'm afraid. Oh my god. These cats these days. They get fed so much food and then their bellies explode. It's insane, guys. Absolutely insane. They eat so much these days, guys. This is crazy, crazy, crazy. So, guys, I want to say Cookie Monster is going to eat ya. So, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's come along today. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you, Alistair Keir, for the 5 gifted memberships. It's greatly appreciated. I may put it back to 7 p.m. I may not. It depends, because the reason I did it at 6 p.m. was because I wasn't sure if Labour Social were going to clash again with me. So the thing is that the Wales News Round is going to... I am going to have to premiere it at 6 p.m. going forward every Tuesday, just because Labour Social are going to stealing that spot, guys. That's just the reality. It's just because they have more viewers than me, and I have some viewers here that like watching them. But I wasn't sure whether they were going to clash here, so I may push it back to 7 p.m. We'll see. But hope you guys found today's news informative. What do you guys think of some of the stories we covered today? We'll be talking about Gaza, talking about Sudan. We talked about obviously the Trump trial and Stormy Daniels payment, the fractions in Europe, Hungary rolling out the red carpet, and the heat waves taking place in Thailand as well as around the world. and some of the stories that we've got from the Ukraine war. What do you guys think of all these stories and more? Let me know your thoughts about all these in the comment section down below. I will be back Monday with another episode of the Snowflake's Viewpoint, covering the latest news in the UK at 8 p.m. So make sure you come and check that out. We greatly appreciate if you guys are around to do that. I'll have the usual videos and shorts dropping over the weekend. So if you guys got nothing else, there's plenty of them to do. No premieres or live streams over the weekends, guys. I'm not planning to bring them back at yet anyway. But of course, I will be trying to produce plenty of content for you guys on Facebook, Rumble, and Patreon as always next week as well. So guys, just want to say thank you again. But before you guys run away, I just need you guys to do one more thing. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. Be greatly appreciated. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or join me on Rumble, Patreon, or Facebook for exclusive content on all of them as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.